between his heat. Hit him with the jab, get a good look. Good look, good look, good look, good look, good look, good look. ISO zones, breaking bones. Put your hands up when you getting sent home off a good look. Good look, good look, good look, good look, good look, good look. It's the Good Look Podcast. It's the Good Look Podcast. It's the Good Look Podcast.
Yes, sir, and welcome to episode 45 of the Good Look Podcast. I'm your host, Leonard Pinckney, a.k.a. Agent P, a.k.a. L Pinckney. I got a special guest for y'all, one of my dudes from back in school. I had to get him on the pod for y'all, so here's my guy, Sean White. Sean, introduce yourself to the people, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's an honor to be here, man. Appreciate you having me, of course. GOP pod, shout out. I love it. Episode 45, man. I'm like, what? Like,
I know, it's crazy, man.
Crazy how time flies by, man. But like I said, it's an honor, and I'm excited for this episode. Like Leonard was mentioning, man, we go back to UCSB days. So he's somebody who I got to see work, when it comes to being on the mic and talking about sports. And definitely, man, I don't know if I ever let you know, but I'm like, you motivated me, bro. So I'm like, it's always love, man. I love seeing what you're doing. So I'm excited.
Hey, appreciate that, man. Yeah, I was the sports director over at KCSB, UCSB, when Sean came in, our little studio, our little radio work as students in college, and it was real fun working with this dude. Honestly, when I was just starting to get the pod stuff ready, I was asking you a bunch of questions just about all the Anchor FM and all that stuff. Shout out to Anchor FM for helping us out with everything. So appreciate them for sure. So yeah, I got my guy here. He's a big Clippers supporter, so we're gonna get into some Clipper talk later in the pod, but we're gonna get some early stuff out the way. Thank you for everybody listening at the Good Look Podcast, all 4 words put together on Instagram. That's how you find the links. At L Pinckney is my Twitter. That's how you find the links as well. YouTube channel, like, rate, comment, subscribe. And on the DSPs, shout out to the people who make it reviews and the 5 stars. I really appreciate that. Sean knows he's got his own pod too. We'll plug that stuff too.
Definitely.
Yeah, my guys. Yeah, Sincere with Blanco. Make sure you go ahead and listen to that too. My guy's out here doing this thing, talking about the culture and everything, dealing with sincerity. So make sure you check that out as well. Let's go ahead and get to the hoop talk, man. So let's start off with All-Star Game. So they talked about it. I've been talking about it the last couple of pods. They said it was going to be an idea, and now it's actually going to be an idea. They've had opinions all across the board, mostly negative. A little bit of news has been trickling in recently. Dame actually came out with a statement. He was hedging. He was saying he'd be cool with it, but if it didn't happen, he'd also be cool with it. And then they're actually trying to still do all the events. They're trying to squeeze the dunk contest in halftime. It's kind of, I don't know. It feels kind of messy, man. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it definitely does come off as messy. That was the last update I had heard about, was trying to squeeze in the dunk contest at halftime of the All-Star Game. And I'm just like, if you got to go to those extremes, man, I think that's just a sign that speaks for itself. Like, I don't know if it's really worthwhile.
In Atlanta too?
Bro, that was a hot spot at one point with Kobe. Yeah. I'm like, why? This doesn't add up. And then I'm a big believer, man. Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think in this case, I think the NBA, they set the standard when it came to having a season during COVID. Even if you just look back to last year, like, they were the first ones to put a halt to the season and say, we got to stop. And then everybody else followed suit. So it's like, you guys have been doing great. Like, you went with the bubble. This year, of course, having no bubble, they've still been pretty good. Having a season that's been able to go on despite a couple postponements here and there. But I'm like, don't set yourself up for potential failure by going to Atlanta and trying to force something to happen. So, I mean, I feel where Dame is coming from, where he says, if it happens, it's like, hey, I'm going to do my duty. But if it doesn't, like, I'm not opposed to it. So I know Giannis spoke up, LeBron spoke up, and I agree, man. If it was really up to a decision, I'd say don't have it. Just be satisfied that we even have a season. But money talks, man. So
No, exactly. That's what everybody's saying right now. That's where the money resides. So everybody knows.
Mhm.
Everybody gets paid these extravagant amounts of money in order for stuff to go down. Things have to happen. I don't think it should happen. I'm not in the back channels. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes and how much money you lose if you don't have the game. So they've been trying to salvage stuff for a while. And the one thing about the season is that it's just going to be uncommon. We knew that last year, and we knew that stuff was going to trickle into this year. So, I mean, if it has to happen, I mean, I guess. But if we was really pushing for safety, everybody knows we wouldn't be having it. So it's obviously the money's talking here.
Yep, exactly, man. Proof is in the pudding for sure.
Yes, sir. So next up so speaking of COVID stuff, Kevin Durant, man, hashtag free KD. My guy was getting yanked, man. He was getting yanked in and out of this game. He had inconclusive tests. He was around somebody, but then wasn't. They had inconclusive. So it was just a weird thing in terms of maybe just like a look and how the NBA's been looking recently, because Kevin Durant's just kind of the latest example of how you think they've been looking so far in terms of dealing with everything.
Man, I think some things are slowly, slipping through the cracks, which, a little bit is going to happen like that with trial and error. Like I said, not having a bubble, I'm sure that's a little bit more challenging than what they had. But at the same time, too, like, I can only imagine, like, I remember that game in which KD did get yanked out after getting approved. I feel like once they said from the get-go he wasn't going to be able to start the game, man, it's like just have him out. Like, don't try to get him in the game and all that, because then you see where, like you said, whoever it was, the team, coaching staff member, whoever he was around that tested positive, it's a hassle. And I know James Harden had mentioned it where it's like, these games, every result matters,
Exactly.
And,
when it comes 72 games, it really does matter.
Man. You got a shortened season, so it's just like, and let alone trying to fight for playoff position and more, like, these guys are also trying to build chemistry when it comes to Kyrie, KD, and James Harden. So it's just like, that takes some time. It's like you can have all the talent, but if you're not on the same page or on the same sync, like, it's just not going to it's just going to be tough. Like, I feel like, even just as you alluded to earlier, me being a Clippers fan, just to briefly get there, it's like when you're trying to put the pieces together during the postseason, it's just no fun. Yeah.
The team on my chest let you know. That wasn't going to fly in the postseason, man.
Man, bro. Man. So,
I wasn't going to try to bring it up during the pod, be my guy and everything, but I mean, you brought it up, so I didn't bring it up. It wasn't me.
I'm not even mad, bro. And it's one of those things, man, where, like, chemistry plays a part, but at the end of the day, you guys beat us fair and square. Like, that's really what it comes down to, man. Came back down 3-1 and just simply played better than us, bro. So I just got to take that one on the chin.
I mean, it was even, except in the second half.
Yeah. We don't know how to play a full 48 minutes, man. When your team doesn't know how to do that, it's very frustrating.
But we'll get into your boys a little bit later.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Save a little bit for that. We got a little bit of trade news recently. Trade that actually went down. Derrick Rose went to the New York Knicks, so now he's reunited with the coach that got him his MVP. They got traded for Dennis Smith Jr. So Dennis Smith Jr., he's been moving around the league a little bit. He actually recently said he wanted to go to the G League so he could get some more PT. Now he's with the Pistons, and they lost their first-round pick, Killian Hayes. He hurt his hip, so he'll be out for a while. So maybe there's some time for Dennis Smith Jr. to try to make an impression. D. Rose, first game back on Tuesday with the Knicks, played well. He's wearing number 4 now. He dropped 14 off the bench. So it looks like he's going to have a solid role for them. It kind of sucks for my guy Emmanuel Quickly, but we'll talk about him later. So just quick thoughts on the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely always excited for D Rose, especially just with the multiple knee injuries and stuff. It was like the ceiling was so high, and once those took place, it's just even encouraging to see him still playing.
For sure.
But that definitely was when I first heard about those trade rumors, and just once I saw how they were becoming more and more serious, I think it was one of those things where I automatically started thinking about Emmanuel Quickly, Julius Randle, basically just those guys getting minutes that were out there. And it seems like they were starting to develop. They were winning a couple games. RJ Barrett was starting to kind of piece things together. So I was a little hesitant. I'm just like, does D Rose really make that much of a difference?
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, he had a solid outing last night, 14 points. I saw him dish a couple dimes. So I think it's going to be cool. I know I got to see a quick little interview from Emmanuel Quickly saying that him and Obi Toppin, they sat down with D Rose at dinner, and D Rose is embracing that veteran role and just, hey guys, any questions? Here's my number, so on and so forth. So that's encouraging. I think they'll learn a lot from him, especially just him getting so much success in the early portion of his career. So I think if you're a Knicks fan, it can be exciting. I think the thing that makes me buy into it is I think D Rose has a better understanding of his role over these last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think given that he has a better understanding, I think his impact is going to be significant, even if he's not the star, like he once was. So
that's a good point you bring up, because when he was trying to come back, so like 2014, 16-ish, that's when him and Jimmy Butler was making his ascension at the same time. So kind of roles were kind of being mixed. D Rose didn't know, on top of just not being healthy. So now that he's healthy, it's crazy. D Rose been in the league since 2008, man. Boy,
it's crazy.
Trez now, he's a vet.
Bro, it's even crazier just seeing how, since he's been in the league, they said every team that Tom Thibodeau has coached, D Rose has been on that team. So, hey, man.
Hey, that's his guy.
Yeah.
No question, that's his guy. And quick on DSJ, I don't know what it's going to be like for him. It's always, the question with him has always been the jumper, and playing solid defense. So his decision making is something that hasn't been the best, but he's an incredible athlete. People were comparing him to Steve Francis when he came out of college. So I mean, Detroit, if you ever gonna have the opportunity, it's gonna be in Detroit. So hopefully he finds a little something in there, man.
That's true, man. Like you said, Detroit had an interesting offseason just with the additions they had. It was kind of just like, who's the best available to us? We're gonna take them.
I know, right?
And like you said, Killian Hayes. Yeah, exactly. Killian Hayes going down with the hip. That could be a potential opportunity for Dennis Smith Jr. But it's been tough, man, because I didn't anticipate him being a huge star in the league, but I definitely anticipated seeing more of him than we've seen thus far. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully some things could pick up, but definitely wish the best for him. Always a shout out to J. Cole for giving him that bar for so that was love.
Exactly. A couple other guys who are in some trade rumors this week. Victor Oladipo. He's been in rumors for a while now, but he's actually out for a little bit. He started really well with Houston in his debut. Since then, he's been up and down. He's been averaging 18 a night, which is good, but he's still shooting 29% from three. So you can still see it's some of the effects of just, rupturing your quad. I couldn't imagine. Yeah. I've had just knee issues personally, but if you rupture your quad, that's just your entire muscle, man. That's pretty crazy to come back from. And then Kyle Lowry, the thing that every social media thing always looks out for is if a dude sells his house, and his house in Toronto is now on sale. So, of course, we got to fuel the rumors a little bit more. So these are two guys who, depending on what team he goes to, or either of them go to, you got two guys who could be solid contributors, possibly title team. So you can take either one. Which one do you want to talk about and where they could possibly go and what their effect could be moving forward?
Yeah, man. When it comes to Victor, I definitely feel like, of course, he's still trying to get his legs under him after just being out for so long. Or, like you said, it's just been so up and down lately. But I think he still has something to give to a team. I honestly thought Houston could be a nice fit, just, pairing him up with John Wall. Boogie still kind of being around, having somewhat of a presence. So, honestly, I would love to see Houston keep him. But if he does get shipped off, then, hey, I totally understand. It's interesting because I feel like when it comes to Victor, he was at a point where he was ascending and he was kind of becoming a star. I wouldn't say a superstar, but he was definitely getting more attention.
All-star level, he was there.
Exactly, he was. So, it's just a matter of seeing, man. If he can stay healthy, I think he can be special. So hoping the best for him for sure. I'm trying to think of potential teams I can see him on. I don't have anyone.
Miami's always been the rumor. Bradley Beal always been a rumor to Miami because Miami's always got the assets and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, I mean, if those could be potential good fits. I mean, I think he's a guy who he can come in and be that second or third option, and he's going to be able to give you something. Because even right now, as he's still working toward getting fully healthy, like you said, averaging 18 points per game. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully the three ball come together. I feel like he's a guy who can create his own shot pretty
Yeah.
good. So if he can get healthy, I would love to see what can happen from there for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll just tackle Kyle Lowry real quick. Raptors sneaky, playing better recently. They've started off so trash. So the schedule got a little bit softer. They're starting to rack up a couple of wins now, which is good for them. Fred VanVleet the other week had 54 on 11 threes. Kyle Lowry is still a dog, even though he's 35. He's still playing at a really good level. He's only got this year left on his deal before he's a free agent, so that's why that fuels some of the trade rumors. It's tough to see what teams would be out there in terms of trading him. I don't think they're going to trade him. Ultimately, I think he's just going to end up staying in Toronto, ride it out, and then maybe see what the free agent market is like next year. But if any team wanted to pick him up, you got a steady point guard who plays good defense, takes charges like nobody's business, can shoot from the outside. He's just a steady point guard, and he proved that he could be a point guard on a championship team. So whatever team decides to pick him up, if they decide to, you're going to get a solid point guard moving forward. And let's see here. Malik Beasley, we can just gloss on him real quick. Sentenced to 120 days in home confinement.
Man.
Served after the season. Oh, to be an athlete, to be able to say I could serve my sentence after the season.
Beautiful.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, like they say, man, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime, man. So it's one of those things where, like you said, being an athlete, he's been in a fortunate position to be able to, have home confinement. Like we were kind of discussing it a little bit earlier yesterday, just saying how this guy had an interesting off season, when it came to Larsa and just other things going on. Yeah, so hopefully this will just be a reminder for him just to get his mind right. Cause I love what he can do, man. I feel like he's a guy, he can shoot the three ball. He's a really great offensive threat. I feel like on defense, he has his spurts as well. So I think he can actually be a great asset to the Timberwolves. It's just, can he really get his mind right? And I mean, they paid him, so they want him around.
Yeah.
But it's just, can we make sure you focus on basketball? So I wish him the best, man, because I just know, I can only imagine just, at first when I heard the news, I was like, hold on, like, are we going to be out there seeing like KCP playing with the ankle monitor, or like what's going on? But then I got more details and it's like, okay, this is going to be after the season. So, it's interesting. But yeah, wish that man the best for sure.
Yeah, I've always thought he was like mini Shannon Brown pretty much, just a guy who's super athletic and hit threes and stuff like that. So if I don't know, because usually you find those guys and they're on like minimum deals or they're coming off the big contract, or like you think of that old Lakers team actually when they had Trevor Ariza and Shannon Brown, young guys who really weren't getting paid a lot but found a way to contribute. I think he can be that kind of player. So if he's like coming off somebody's bench or something like that, I think he'll be really solid. He's just gonna have to ride out this contract. And it's Minnesota. Minnesota's trash. So, but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
I'm gonna flip off that and shift to this. Just really quick, gonna go over some of the performers of the week. The official NBA players of the week. De'Aaron Fox for the Kings. He's been hooping lately. Averaged 31-9 in a 4-0 week. And Giannis for the Bucks averaged 24-6-10, also in a 4-0 week. Big time games from Vucevic against the Bulls. He dropped 43-19, career high. Career high 34 from LaMelo, who we'll talk about in a second, against the Jazz. And Jokic with a 50 ball against those same Kings. It was in a loss, however. So still an incredible performance by him, but coming in L. But this next topic. So this next one I'm really excited to talk about. So very interesting to have an 8 a.m. start time. But it was in Orlando, and these dudes are like, you're like 6 months out from playing AAU ball where you're just playing 3 games a day. So it's not like it really matters to these guys. The G League Ignite. So they had their first game yesterday when they played the Santa Cruz Warriors. It was entertaining, man. It was cool to see because we had we had guys who were projected top 5 picks, Jalen Green, and Jonathan Kuminga. Shout out to the Congo for Kuminga. Shout out to half hybrid Jalen Green, Filipino blacks. He's doing it for him, my guy. And then you other players who are trying to get picked as well, like Dyson Nix, Isaiah Todd. And then you even have old vets like Jared Jack still out there hoping, man. So just doing with the numbers real quick. Kuminga, I think he was the story of the game. He was incredibly impressive, 19, 4 and 2, 2 big blocks, one really huge one at the end of the game. Nix was really good in the first half. I saw this kid, like, it was just, you can't really say nothing other than the dude's thick. Like, he's just built.
Bro,
dude
he's
is
so
huge.
stocky, bro. He reminds me of like a Kyle Lowry, but even just stocky.
Just like all up here. Like Debo status. Like, my guy is a running back.
Yes, he really is.
So he was impressive. Jalen Green was ranked as the highest one of these prospects. He struggled in the first half, and I wouldn't even say, well, it was twofold. He didn't really shoot that much, but also I think he was starting to he first off started to realize, like, oh man, this is like close to NBA caliber defense. Like, when guys stay in front of you after 2-3 moves, you can't just get off that quick step against these guys. People know how to play angles, and they're better than that. So second half, he turned it around. He shot 4 for 10 overall. Still had a solid game for him. So I mean, it's something to build off of for Jalen. 11 points, 5 boards. So he's got some work to do, but it's just the first game, you know. So they got a lot to work on. What are your thoughts on some of these guys from this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were just talking about Daishen Nix, and, you know, it definitely was somebody who was under the radar, kind of came out the blue. I mean, of course, coming out of high school, I know originally he was committed to UCLA and then ended up going the G League route, but he definitely was impressive. You know, I didn't anticipate him having such a solid game, like you said. I mean, his stocky build, man, penetrating the paint and just being able to finish, like, him finishing around the basket was great. Kuminga, I mean, he did it all on both ends of the floor.
I really like that kid, man.
Bro, I know they were mentioning about how his NBA comparison has been Jaylen Brown. And, I mean, his ceiling might be even just a tad bit higher just with the length that he has and that wingspan. Like,
how can you be 19, 6'8", 210 already? Bro, that's like Patrick Williams type shit.
Bro,
it's crazy.
It's crazy, and can do it all. You know, can shoot the ball, can drive, like, can back you down, whatever. So he's definitely, you know, living up to the hype thus far. And in the case of Jalen Green, I think things have come together for him. I think it's going to be a matter of kind of, like you said, you know, it's not just a matter of crossing someone over and being able to dunk and I'm good. You know, it's going to take more than just the athleticism. So I think once he's able to continue to develop his game, and I know Jared, like, having the presence of a guy like a Jared Jack who's been in this league forever, and you see him, you know, still putting up consistent numbers, like, he's only going to get better, I think, with time. I think once he kind of learns to slow the game down a little bit in terms of pace of play, like, he'll be like, okay, like, you know, this is what's going to benefit me, and, you know, here's what I should do, what I shouldn't do. But overall, I think they're going to learn a lot from this G League process. And it's just exciting, man, to see that new wave of guys who are betting on themselves and even having that opportunity to go make some money and develop. Like, it's a win-win situation, if you ask me.
Yeah, I love that they're able to get the experience of pro coaching and pro playing against pro players right away. And these kids now are just so much more prepared than guys were back in the day. Like, maybe 2 or 3 high school kids would maybe pop. You have kids when they get on campus as freshmen, they just take over. The squad is theirs. That's how good a lot of these kids are coming up now. So I like the option for them to get paid right away, to get all this experience right away. It's going to be interesting to see. I'll bring up this point first and then go to my second. So there's kids coming up. So there's like Chet Holmgren next year, like this 7'1" white kid who's like super gangly, but he's super skilled and he's athletic. Like, don't let him fool you. It's weird, but dude can hoop. And then you got Amani Bates, who everybody's been talking about. That kid looks crazy, and he's only a junior still. So do you see the G League being something that is going to be viable moving forward? Because right now college basketball is in a little bit of a tough spot. The the there was a stat like Duke isn't ranked, Carolina's not ranked, Kansas is not ranked. Like the Blue Bloods ain't really doing it right now.
Exactly.
So yeah, what do you think about the G League moving forward?
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely see more prospects and top prospects at that going that route because, like you said, I mean, you're able to play under an NBA coaching staff. Essentially, you're able to get paid. You're just going to develop that much quicker. And I mean, at the end of the day, especially if you're a guy who knows you're going to be a lottery pick, it's like, man, why not go get paid and just kind of start that process now, you know? And like you said, the Blue Buds, like they're not looking as great this season. And just, I don't know if selling a kid on the history of tradition is just enough anymore.
Exactly.
You know? There and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's some prospects out there who still want that story or to experience that. And I mean, even just looking at COVID, that might even impact it to a point where guys are like, man, I can't even really get to experience that tradition. Right. So, hey, I might as well move on depending on how long, you know, this continues. So
yeah, it's definitely a factor.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I honestly think at some point, you know, I don't know when exactly, but in these coming years, bro, I think the pipeline of coming straight out of high school is going to make a return. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like just because it is so common now for guys looking to be a one and done or, you know, looking to play overseas and just get to the league as quickly as possible. So it's going to be interesting. I think it'll come back at some point, but in the meantime, the G League is a great asset to have, you know, to be able to kind of fill in that spot.
I love that just over the past decade, we've been able to see guys just not take the traditional route. Brandon Jennings overseas. Just last year, RJ Hampton and LaMelo overseas. So guys are getting more creative with it, and the outlets are there. So you don't have to just go to college and be part of that system that just churns them up and spits them out. So and then my second part for that was that we got the draft coming. So you hear the names, Cade Cunningham, he's been projected to go number 1 for a while. Evan Mobley, dude's skinny, but I love his game. He can do so many things as a big man. And then you got Green, Kuminga, Jalen Suggs. That you talk about a dog. Like that dude is tough, and he's playing for the number 1 team in the country right now. Picking it back up with the guys we just saw. I know it depends on what team you have pretty much, but if you were a GM, who do you think you're taking number 1 out of all those guys we're talking about?
Yeah, man. I know the last mock draft I saw, it was saying that the T-Wolves are supposed to be number 1 and and Cade Cunningham is supposed to be that guy. I like Cade a lot. I
hear but.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, I don't know how quick he is or how athletic, because I'm thinking about him getting to the next level, and I'm just like, okay, is he going to play the 2? Is he going to play the 3? Like, what exactly?
I think they're going to want him to be a lead guard, like like Luka and all these other big guards. I think they're going to want him to do that.
Yeah, and I think he could. I think he can possess that. So I would say I'd most likely either go with Cade. I do really like Jalen Suggs a lot, though, man. Like I was watching him the other night when they were playing BYU, and I'm just like,
Hooper,
like, dude,
straight
like,
Hooper.
I'm like, bro, like, and it's crazy because I feel like, you know, coming into that game, he had like 20 plus, but I know he was only averaging like 13 on the season. But it's just the fact of the matter of knowing he can do more, but he doesn't really need to because he's on the number 1 team in the nation. They have assets. They're all able to work together. So it's just like, I really like him right now. Like if I had to choose one, I would say Jalen Suggs just because I think, you know, I think it's special, you know, I think he can do it on both ends too. Like, so, good two-way guy.
No, I feel you. I like Jalen Suggs as well. I think I just like Kuminga more. I think because he's 6'8", too. Like being that size, that young, and be able to do so many different things. He has to work on the shot. He was 1 of 7 in the game from 3, so he does have to work on the shot. But it's not like he's afraid to take it, and the release isn't broken. So as long as you got those things working for you, that kid looks like number 1 pick to me. I love Cade as well. I think he's going to be a great playmaker. I think he won't fail. Like he has the best floor. Like he is going to be good at least no matter what. But I think if you're talking about high ceiling potential and if you want the number one overall pick to be that, which you do, I think Kuminga is that guy. So that's who I would end up going with there.
Definitely. Yeah, and I like what you mentioned though, man. He's a guy who's going to go get his regardless, and I love that about him. So yeah, his game's going to translate nice.
Oh yeah, for sure. So now we're going from guys who are almost going to be rookies to guys who are rookies right now. Just a quick rookie update on guys who've been playing well and kind of what's going on with guys who haven't been playing so well. The big name is LaMelo. So LaMelo is easy to start off with. Kid's been on a tear recently. Since he's been starting, averaging 27 and 5. The splits are the thing that's crazy. 48% from the field, 44 from 3, 91 from the line. So like that was my biggest thing about him, other than his defense, which he still doesn't really play. But the numbers are just so nice right now because of the efficiency. It's crazy. I was thinking bigger Jason Williams with this guy. Just a bunch of flash, which he still has, but the percentages, Jay Will, if you look his stats up, go on Basketball Reference or whatever, he always shot like 36, 38%. So not a great shooter, but LaMelo's of that same cloth where he has the flash and flair, but the thing that separates him, he's 6'8". Like, so to be that tall and be able to play make like he does, and as long as the shot continues to progress, he's not going to be a 44% shooter. I don't think that's just going to be too hard to maintain. But just since he's been starting and everybody's been calling for it, they might be league pass team of the year so far. They're just mad exciting to watch.
Man, they're so fun to watch, man. Just seeing him throw endless lobs to Miles Bridges, like you got Scary Terry out
Nightly
there.
Connection.
Gordon Hayward, like I really like this team. It's one of my favorite teams to watch. It's just fun. And I mean, when it comes to LaMelo, man, like I think back to just the NBA draft, like he was my number one pick. But I'm glad it didn't happen because I don't think he'd be doing what he's doing now in Golden State just because I don't think he would have the
or Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just don't think in Golden State he would have had the leeway with Steph. And I mean, I think what the injury to Clay was just a day or two before the draft or leading up to it where it was announced. So I think Charlotte is a perfect fit, and I'm glad they finally started this man because he's just too talented. And like you said, it's the fact that he's 6'8" and he can do everything that he's doing. Like he can be a floor general. He can shoot the shot. And I think what I love most about it right now is it doesn't seem like he's forcing anything. Like he's letting the game come to him.
Oh yeah, easy.
You know, when it comes to shooting a 3-ball or being in the passing lane and stuff. So like you said, you know, he'll definitely have to improve on the defensive end. Yeah. And if anything, you know, he may or may not, if anything, we know as of right now, the offense is going to kind of make up for that a little bit. But I'm excited for him, man. I think they've got a good one in LaMelo. And there's a lot of people out there doubting that man. So, you know, it's impressive, especially too. And this applies to all rookies, but especially since we're on the topic of LaMelo, like these guys didn't really have much of a preseason. You know, there wasn't a summer league or anything. It was like games. Yeah, it was like get drafted, have a couple practices, regular season begins.
Yeah, so go start hooping.
It's impressive, man.
No, it's definitely impressive. It's a great point you bring up. There's like pretty much a week of training camp, and then we get right into the shits with the basketball game. So it's the fact that you see certain rookies coming out and being so impressive is it's really cool to see. And speaking of another talented rookie, Tyrese Halliburton. So a guy who just man, coming into the draft, people were talking about him going anywhere from like 3 to 15 or whatever, and he's making everybody that passed on him look ridiculous. And the Kings, man, they found him another nice ball hand. This dude does everything. He's just so smart. His jump shot looks funny. Dude's mad skinny, but it just proves once again, man, you want smart players on the basketball court. Guys who just are 6'9" or whatever and athletic, but don't know how to move their feet or get to the right spots, move the ball. You'd rather have a guy like Halliburton who's just like 6'4", 6'5", who knows exactly what to do every time he has the basketball, man. It's incredible to watch with that kid.
Yeah, it really is, man. I mean, when I think of Halliburton, I think of a guy who's just fundamentally sound, just around the board, and it's one of those things where it's very encouraging. Like if I'm a Kings fan, I'm excited,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
especially
Hell
to
yeah.
just looking at the history of draft picks, and it's encouraging seeing what De'Aaron is doing. He's
Yeah.
becoming a better jump shoot, better with his shot. He's still, of course, being able to penetrate more. And I think once they got Buddy Hield, it was one of those things where I think the expectations were probably pretty high. And I mean, we've kind of seen how that's played out in terms of him like saying he doesn't want to be there, and then Bagley saying the same thing. But aside from all the ruckus that took place, like they're slowly but surely putting things together. I mean, I can't remember the last time where a Kings team was at the 500 level of,
Right.
of a win percentage at this point, deep into the season, 25 plus games in. And
I don't think they made the playoffs since like Bibby, honestly. It's
man,
been
bro,
that long.
it's been that long. So yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, he's definitely one of those hidden gems, and the Kings came up. So I'm excited for him, and he's only going to get better, man. So that's the most exciting thing.
Yeah, for sure. Man, literally every team in the league could use Tyrese Halliburton. He's just that kid is just that good, that malleable, just can fit anywhere. Really quick, we talked about quickly. He just needs more time, man. And the fact that they traded for D Rose sucks because you look at his stats. If he plays 24 or more minutes, he averages 24 a game. Everything below that, it's been single digits or low teens with him. So it's gonna be tough. We talked about it a little bit with Tibbs getting D Rose back. I don't know how that's gonna affect him moving forward. So that's a little bit unfortunate because he was on a good run. And then Anthony Edwards, he's been playing more. Last 10 games, he's been playing plus 27 minutes, and he's been up and down. The percentages are what you expect from a rookie, but he shows that potential. I'm still not incredibly sold on him, but you can definitely see the talent. He can big body guard, can get to the basket, can get his own shot. Some of the decision making is the thing that I'm still like wary about. If he had Halliburton's brain, then he'd be generational talent. But he's still got a lot of things to work on. So either of those two, you can go ahead and who you want to talk about.
Yeah, man. I think when it comes to Quickly, he's definitely been someone that, has been on my radar as of lately. And I think back to just when he was at Kentucky and being able to see him shoot the 3 ball. And I was like, okay, this
float game crazy.
Yeah,
float game crazy, patented.
Man, you see that the patent, honestly, it really is. You see the fans got the shirts and stuff for him. But I mean, he's just been looking great. And honestly, I would say he's won them some games or kept them in some games just based off of his play for sure. Because, to have him being able to come off the bench and put up those numbers, like that team isn't – I mean, RJ Barrett, he's definitely having an improved season versus a rookie year. But, it's one of those things where you got Quickly on the court, man, within a good 5 to 10 minutes of seeing him produce for that team. It's like, all right, put this guy in the starting lineup. And that's what fans and everyone else around the league was seeing. It's like, man, put this guy in the lineup, let him play, and let him get better. So like you said, with D Rose, I think he'll learn from him, but the minutes definitely are going to cut down a bit, which is unfortunate. So hopefully it doesn't stun his growth because he was definitely on track to do something special. I mean, let him get a couple more games, and who knows, man, he could have been trying to do something and fighting for a potential co-rookie of the year or something like that, because that guy is nice, man.
Exactly. And what you said kind of leads to a bigger point, which is like it's the organization you're in matters just as much as like how good of you are as a player. Because if you're just in the wrong spot, or if you're with the wrong coach who doesn't want to highlight your abilities or believes you 100%, it doesn't matter how good you are. Like the fun story to talk about is like Kobe. Because Kobe, if you think early before he started starting, his first coach didn't play him that much. And then people remember him doing the air balls against Utah. But it took him a while to try to trust this kid who just had immense talent that you could see right away. But he wasn't playing him. So, I mean, hopefully either Tibbs turns a new leaf and more opportunity comes from. I was gonna say maybe leaves, but Tibbs is there for he just signed a new deal for 5 years. He ain't gonna dip out. So it's maybe either exactly Quickly gets traded, or hopefully he just breaks out more and more to where coach can't even make it an issue. He just has to play the kid. So, yeah, that's it for the little rookie update. And now I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes. My guy, certified Clipper fan.
Sure.
Even on the other hand, always live right because my watch is on the other hand. 17-8 are the Clips right now. Third in the Western Conference. An incredible offensive rating, 117 points per 100 possessions. That's the second best in the league. In the defensive end, it's kind of in the middle, or it's exactly in the middle, actually. 15th with 110 defensive rating. But it gives them the fourth best net rating in basketball. It's -7. Or take the 117 minus the 110, doing the math here. They were amazing in January, 12-4. Struggled a little bit early on this month, going 1-3 so far. Kawhi still has been his amazing Kawhi self, and he's actually playing more. 26, 6, and 5 on great percentages. Paul George. First off, I never had a problem with that to begin with. People was only making it an issue when they wasn't winning. When they was winning, you could do whatever the hell you want. But now people want to try to find stuff. Like, dude was actually dealing with injury management, man. Anyway, I'm not going to.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm like, it worked in Toronto, man. It can work in LA. So
exactly. If they won or it gets to the Western Conference Finals, nobody going to be talking about, he was skipping games, whatever. Who cares? Exactly. Paul George having an incredible season. Nobody wants to talk about it, though. 24, 6, and 5. It's tough. He recently picked up a foot injury, so he's missed the last couple games, going to miss a couple more. Hopefully he comes back. That's the only thing that really derails this dude other than playoff pressure is the fact that he gets hurt. And he was coming off double shoulder surgery last season, had to work his way from that before then. Everybody knows about the really crazy leg injury he had. So hopefully this is just a blip and nothing that lingers for the rest of the season. But I have a couple of questions for you because obviously you watch this team, you know this team. What do you think? What makes this team different than last year's team?
Being able to compare the two, I mean, of course, the fact of the matter that Kawhi and PG have had the chance to play with each other more, that chemistry you've been able to develop. So that's a plus. Mm-hmm. And then also, too, I think when it comes to just the expectations for this team, like last year, everybody it's a battle of LA and
expectations are a real thing.
Yeah, so expectations were high. Like we had never been in that position ever, like where it's like, Clippers are potential in some people's book, they were championship favorites. We were set to win it. So I think after having the letdown that we had, and it just was a reminder of the so-called Clipper curse. Yeah. But I think looking at this year's team, I think having the lower expectations is a plus. But I also think too, I think we're more balanced this year. And what I mean by that is I know a big thing, of course, last season was like, okay, Kawhi and PG, and then also looking at the depth of the bench and like, okay, we can just resort to Lou and Trez and they'll carry us. And I think as fans and personally for myself, I think we got a little too caught up in like, okay, look how great this looks on paper. Like this should just automatically work on the court. Yeah. And I think whereas this season, we still have some depth. I mean, of course, we don't have Trez, like the pick and roll isn't there like it once was. But I think being able to move Zubac to the second rotation, being able to even have Marcus Morris sacrifice and being able to come in on the second rotation. Once PG gets back, Luke Kennard to be in that second rotation. So it's like, I think guys are understanding their roles better because and it's a full team effort. Whereas in the past, it's like, okay, give the ball to PG or give the ball to Lou and get out the way. And it's just like, that's not going to work when it comes to our team because ISO ball can only take you so far. Truly. So, and don't get me wrong, guys like PG, like you are going to have to draw up those plays from time to time. But I think when we have a team coming back against us and we're resorting to ISO ball to kind of get us out of a funk, that's where we're not, because I've had I had a former friend who mentioned it one time. And I think one thing that we're still struggling to overcome is like, at times we play down to our competition. Yeah. And I think that's just something we have to improve on because it's just a bad habit when it comes to trying to play a full 48-minute game of basketball. And it's just like, bro, like there's no reason why we should be having multiple 20-point plus leads and then, just giving it all up. So
yeah.
I would say we're a more balanced team in comparison to last year. So it's been exciting so far. Like you said, February has been a little bit of a dip down. Before we started recording, I was tuned in to us. We were playing Minnesota, and at one point we were down like 14. And it's just like, come on, guys. Like,
no,
it shouldn't be happening against Minnesota. So I think we might have closed that one out with a W, but I like what we're doing so far. I think guys aren't talking as much. So it's like, let's just play basketball. And if we can make a deep postseason run, then let the play speak for itself.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people were like on the Clippers' heads last year because they were talking about it before even doing anything. So that just made them bigger targets, and it kind of just put more pressure on themselves to perform, even with a talented team. Like that last year's team was still really good. You're up 3-1 for a reason. Like you're just one game away from advancing. So that team was still really good. I think just all the noise and the pressure ended up really getting to him. And one of those players that did get to was Paul George. And he's been spectacular this season. Like there's no other way to describe it. So just for him, what do you think has been different for this year?
Yeah, I mean, definitely what you just alluded to in terms of not being so vocal and just letting the play speak for itself. I'm sure in the case of PG, health plays a part too. But I think when it comes to his game, like I love personally as a fan when it comes to watching PG, like I like when he's trying to get a bucket off driving or penetrating and then eventually working his way out, finding his shot. I think sometimes – he can fall in love with just let me cross half court and I get a little space, let me pull up from three. And it's like, I know that's in your game, but I want you to build that rhythm up a different way.
Exactly.
So I really like what he's doing this year. I know one of the things once Doc left, he took a little bit of a dig and saying like certain plays that were being called.
I ain't like that.
Like,
not a lot of people did.
He there were some moments where I just like, come on, PG, like just play ball, my guy.
Yeah,
like
it happened. We don't need to hear you talking about that.
Exactly. No. It's like at the end of the day, regardless of what plays were called, like we lost fair and square, gave up 3-1 lead, on to the next. But I definitely think he's allowing the game to come to him rather than it being like, oh, Kawhi's not playing, so let me do everything in my will to make sure we get this win. And it's like everything doesn't have to be placed on you. You can play that team ball. So I think having the lower expectations and then also just trusting, his teammates, trusting his game as well, and going from there. And then also too getting right mentally. I know that's something he alluded to.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm sure that plays a big part in this season. So it's been encouraging. Hopefully, man, it can just translate to the postseason because that's when we need the most.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's the reason nobody wants to talk about him because it's been well documented about his shortcomings in the postseason. I've talked about it multiple times. Everybody in the media talks about it. So a part of me does want to see him just shake it a little bit, just have a good postseason. Like don't have too many, like maybe one dud, but you're getting paid like a max guy. You got to be a max guy. Your team relies on you every game to be great. So, and even if it ain't shooting wise, it's finding ways to play good defense still and board and assist. So, I mean, hopefully Paul George, because nobody wants to just like shit on this dude.
Yeah.
You just want him to be good because he's got so much talent. He shouldn't be having certain flameouts in the postseason like he does.
Yeah, exactly. It was frustrating, man. And I think too, it's just, there was just too much talking last season for my liking, man. It was just like, especially too when it came to just having, the break as far as the season due to COVID, like having that much time, which it was exciting because I think that allowed guys to get healthy. But it's also frustrating when, you go on Instagram Live and you're like, yeah, man, like I'm healthy, I'm feeling good. And then when things don't go in our favor, it's like, I'm still recovering, or it's just like, just play, man, just play.
Yeah. And that might as well be the mantra for the Clippers.
Yeah,
season.
Just play.
So I have my reservations about Ty Lue. He hopped on to coach LeBron, and people in the media say he can talk to other players, like he can yell at him, and if he can yell at LeBron or whatever, can yell at everybody else. I just credit for LeBron because he's LeBron. So, but I mean, he's got him off to a good start. As a fan and a guy who follows the team, can you what are the little differences that you can maybe see or tell that Ty Lue does that maybe Doc wasn't bringing out last year?
Yeah. I think, honestly, man, I feel like the guys are out there and they're able to just have a little bit more of an initiative when it comes to how they're playing. And I think even just trusting the depth that we do have. Like, I see more of Terrence Mann out there, which is encouraging. Yeah. He's a young guy. I mean, of course, Pat Bev getting injured, that played a part too. But even with Pat Bev back, against Minnesota, for example, like Terrence Mann was still getting minutes. So I think really just trusting the talent and development. And I think it's one of those things where his transition into the head coaching role, I'm glad. I wanted it to be Ty Lue just because he was already on our coaching staff. So
some people didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
They were like, he's already in the locker room. That's the same voice. Like, is that a big difference?
Yeah, and that definitely was something I thought about too. But I think in the case of, like, the window for us right now is small, man. Like, we don't have a commitment from Kawhi in terms of if he's coming back. He could test free agency after this season. So we really don't know. So I think having Ty Lue take over, it was good because, of course, Doc played a role in Kawhi coming. Like, Kawhi wanted to play for Doc, but I think Ty Lue and looking at his resume, I'm sure Kawhi was able to give a pass to him, like, all right, we can make this work. So I think the thing about Ty Lue is, given, like you said, having coached a player like LeBron, I feel like when you're in that position, for example, with LeBron, like, you understand you have to kind of give up the reins a little bit. Like, a star like LeBron is going to take over in some situations. So I feel like once you experience that once as a coach, I would anticipate you kind of carry that coaching style throughout, especially if you're coaching a team that has a superstar player, like right now with Kawhi. You're going to allow for him to have some input as well. So I don't know how much that might have really played a part when we had Doc under the helm and leading us at the forefront. So I feel like that could definitely play a part. And then also, too, I think when it comes to Ty Lue, I think he's on the same page. It's just like, man, we're just here to play basketball. Like, all the extras we can do without. So when you have a coach who's on that message as well, I think it's helpful because even though I don't think Doc was one to really showboat or gloat about the potential our team had, I think it was one of those things where it was kind of like, hey, we're embracing this ascension of, like, being a potential championship contender and so on and so forth. So it's just like, forget the glitz and glamour, just hoop. And I like what Ty Lue is doing so far, man. I think he's a guy who also is kind of understands the culture. I remember when the Cavs had the championship parade and he was out there dancing the future on the floor and stuff, So I think guys can get with his culture and stuff. So I'm satisfied thus far.
Okay. Sounds solid, man. He's been doing a solid job so far, so not too many complaints there. So the last thing I want to touch on with your team is that not a lot of people want to talk about them because of last year, but they're gonna be a top 3 team in the West this year. East is better, but in your opinion, can this team win it all?
I think this team can do it, man. I think back to even our game against the Brooklyn Nets a couple weeks ago, and we competed that game. Like, it was a great game.
Oh, it was a real good game.
A couple miscues. I think we ended up losing by like 4.
Almost came back.
Almost came back.
Giving these up, just like y'all.
Man. It's one of those things where we definitely have to continue to really just play a full game. Like I said, we can't stoop down to the competition's level because when we do that, it just takes us out of our game. And it's just tough to watch.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of the times that's the biggest thing for us moving forward. It's like when we're playing in high intensity moments or just it's crunch time.
Yeah.
We just seem to crumble. And I think we just lose our sense of, like, rhythm and, like, trusting our flow. And I feel like we just resort to, like, okay, give it to PG, give it to Kawhi and see what they can do. And it's like, that's not going to work for us.
So the clutch time still got to get figured out.
Like, the clutch time definitely has to improve, if we're really going to become a championship contender and win a title, because I think we have the pieces. Even just looking at our bench, I think we have enough. I see like with Lou Will, things are starting to slowly come together because he's had a little bit of rough start to a season, but slowly piecing it together thus far. So I think we have the pieces, man. It's just a matter of playing a full game and being able to just really go out there and trust our process and what we have. So, it was cool. I knew even when we were on the 10-game winning streak, I was like, it's cool, but like we can't even give that any light because it's just way bigger things that are ahead. So I think we can do something, man, but it's going to be tough. Like looking at teams, looking at your Nuggets, man, looking at the Lakers, it's going to be tough just even being able to compete. We know how the Western Conference is, man, year in and year out. Like it's always a fight. So it's going to be important to see how it all works out, but I think we could do something. We at least got to make it to the Western Conference Finals, man. We got Kawhi. Like I said, like I feel like if we don't get to the Western Conference Finals, Kawhi might be gone, man. He might be like, all right, I'm out of here. So we got to make something happen.
Yeah, for sure. I will ring the bell for y'all, though. I thought y'all were the second best team in the West coming in. People really wanted to use that postseason like misstep to really down y'all, and it's still when we talk about the best teams in the league, we're starting with superstars, and you got two of them. And when you have two of them, that puts you in an incredible position to win in this league. You need it. So you guys are one of those squads. I think as the season rolls on, it's just going to start being undeniable that people are going to have to admit that it's a different season, and every season is always a different season. So even with the Lakers, like I know that Anthony Davis isn't going to play this bad for this long, but even that, you're showing it's a different year. So you never know with these things. We thought the Warriors were winning 4 straight, and then KD gets hurt, Clay gets hurt, and then we got a completely new league just a year later. So you never know with these things. I think the Clippers are going to be right there at the end as one of the top 2 teams in the West. Utah has looked really good. I can't discredit them at all. But I think the Clippers they're going to show, and once everything starts gelling, that you guys are going to be a top 2 seed. So thank you for your insight on the squad for sure. I had to get you on the pod for that. Couple things before we close this whole thing out. Games to watch. So on Saturday, big matchup. Hopefully Kevin Durant comes back. It looks like he's on track to. His return to the Bay Area. They're going to play the Dubs on Saturday. That's going to be a big one. Lakers, after dump trucking my Nuggets, are going to play them again on Sunday. Sixers Jazz, real big matchup on Monday. And then next Wednesday, you got your Clippers playing against the Jazz. So that's going to be a real big matchup. Jazz have won like 14 of 15. They've been on a tear. So that's going to be a real solid matchup, seeing how those 2 teams stack up. And then hopefully Paul George is back for that one. So since you're only my second guest on the pod, it's funny because obviously we prepped for these before. I didn't tell Sean about this last part. I just want to go through some quick rapid fire questions with you. They're going to be some about sports, some not, but I'm going to make them. It's going to be interesting. And I'm interested to see what you say. So right now, who you got for MVP?
LeBron. James, man. LeBron, you got to give it to him, bro. Year 18.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, the fact that he's still that great, man, it don't make no damn sense. Most sauce in the league off the court. Who's the drip guy right now?
Last season it was Shea. This season is Jordan Clarkson, bro. Like every time I see a league fits post with Jordan Clarkson, I'm like, bro, I'm like, this dude is just
he's on a different level right now.
It's effortless, bro.
Yes.
Like he's doing it on and off the court. Shout out to Big Clark.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing it with his contract. He got that new contract. He's like, I'm gonna show y'all what I got deep in the closet. Just subtle fits, nothing too crazy. He does it with ease. Exactly.
100%.
Best city jersey in the league.
Best city jersey. Man, you know what? I really like the Memphis Grizzlies. Those are dope.
Yes.
I love the powder blue Houston joints, man. Those Those I really like those a lot. Just with the subtle hints of red throughout on the logo.
I like when teams take a chance, like take a chance and because these are city jerseys, man. You get a new one every year. If you're gonna like, just go do something different. Ain't nothing.
Yeah, if I had to choose one, I would say the Houston one. It reminds me of the Houston Oilers too, as far as just that color combo and everything. So I like those a lot. It made me think about the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, y'all could have came harder than that. I like them, but they could have came a little bit harder with the blend, with the gradient, and all that.
Especially after the last 2 years, their white and black South Beaches have been insane.
Man, bro. So yeah,
I would also throw in that Charlotte one. I love the Charlotte one, the mint and gold. Yeah. You will sell me for. I've been trying to find it and you can't.
Those are dope. Do those have the Buzz City on it or no?
They do. They got the Buzz City on it.
Those are hard. Those are dope.
Those are super dope.
Those are dope.
Hooper that you wish you could play like.
Hooper I wish I could play like. I honestly would say the first name that came to my mind honestly was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, man.
Oh, man.
I like the young guy.
Man.
I like him a lot. His game is growing. That's what's exciting because, the funny thing is, and we were talking about this, like, for those out there tuned in, but I used to work for the Clippers on the ticket sales side of things. And my first year with the Clippers was the year that Shai got drafted. Yeah. I hadn't really heard too much about him. Like, I knew he went to Kentucky. So, you're going to hear just how big that program is. You're going to hear about players and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I think I've really been able to just watch his growth from start to present, where he's at now in terms of, and I think going back to what you mentioned, which was a good point about fit and what team you're with, because when he was with the Clippers, when he was with us, like a mentor to him, of course, outside of the players like Lou Will and other guys out there, like he had Sam Cassell coaching him up. So being able to get that kind of coaching.
Speaking of somebody who needs a head coach job.
Man, 100%.
Come on.
That's man, if it wasn't Ty Lue, that's what I wanted, bro. And then for him to be able to go from that situation to OKC, get a season with CP3, and then now kind of becoming that cornerstone for the franchise, like, I feel like he's just a long guard. His offensive game is getting better. He's getting in the passing lanes for steals and stuff. I like his game a lot. It kind of reminds me of Kawhi in terms of the pace. It's kind of slow, but he's still able to get to where he wants. He can drive. He can shoot. So I really like his game a lot.
Okay. Yeah. I was not expecting that answer, but it's a really dope. It's a really dope answer. He plays at his own pace. He still gets everywhere he wants to on the court, and dude's like 6'6". So that's a dope comp.
I like the big guards, man. I know we were alluding to that earlier about LaMelo being 6'8". It's like the big guards, man, who could still make it happen. Like that's the beauty of this game. When people say just sit back and enjoy it, it's like those are the little things like that. It's like I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly where the league is going. Favorite player growing up?
Favorite player growing up was Tracy McGrady. That guy. I mean, of course, Allen Iverson, but I like to always give T-Mac first just because I feel like people forget about him so much, especially just with the injuries and stuff that played a part. But, man, like that dude, he was just – if it wasn't for the injuries, like we would be talking about him more and more than we already do. It'd be bigger than just – the 13 points in 30 seconds against the Spurs, which is a monumental moment. But I'm like, for him to come out of high school and being able to have the impact that he had, man. And I feel like I really fell in love with being a fan of his when he was in Houston. Like, definitely liked him in Orlando, but Houston, it was just different because I think I was more in tune with watching the game of basketball. Yeah, T-Mac, man, that was my guy. Like, Xbox gamer tag, T-Mac, SW, like I was on some other stuff, bro. So that's my guy.
Okay, yeah, T-Mac, like the comparisons with the Kobe were legit. Like it wasn't no made up stuff. Like he was legit one of them dudes. Watch like the matchups he played with Kobe. Kobe says he's the hardest person he had to guard. Like it's T-Mac was that dude. It's unfortunate. He had like a 7-year run where it's him and Kobe top 2 shooting guards in the league. It was just tough to see him go down and go out the way he did. But at his peak, he was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he was a cold dude.
Yes. Best ice cream flavor?
Butter pecan. Butter pecan, bro.
Butter
Oh
pecan.
my gosh, I love it, bro. It's I don't that buttery sweet taste, and then the crunch of the pecans. It's a perfect combo, man. And it's always been my favorite, bro. I
Mm-hmm.
think back to going to Thrifties at CVS and getting
Hey,
that Thrifties ice cream. I'm like
yeah.
butter pecan meat. But one ice cream flavor I'll say that's been on the up and up for me has been like mint chocolate chip.
Uh-huh.
That's a good one, man. For
Mint
people out
chocolate.
there hating, you need to get right.
Exactly. I used to be one of them people too. And then when you start eating mint chocolate, you're like, this is such a little kid thing for me to think about. No, this is fire. Mint chocolate is fire. My breath smells great and it's fire.
Good.
You can't go
There
wrong.
we go.
Um, Best Mexican spot in SD.
Man, you know, if I'm just gonna go solely tacos, and
Mm-hmm.
there might be some people might get on my helmet for this, but at least based on what I can remember, my taste buds can remember. I want to say Salud Tacos.
Okay.
Um, my boy put me on it. I had never
Mm-hmm.
had it, and this was probably about 3 months or so ago.
Yeah.
I had it, it was perfect. I had carne asada taco. I think I might have had like a shrimp taco. It was just perfect, man.
Yeah.
Sauces was great, everything. So tacos, I'm gonna say salud. I'm really big on. I love like a good California burrito or carne
Yeah.
asada fries. Basically, same thing. One in a tortilla, one not. But
Exactly.
I'm also like I would say I'm a man of convenience. So like whenever I'm back home, my mom's apartment complex, there's a taco shop right next door. It's called
Okay.
Cilantro Taco Shop.
Got you.
And it's a good spot, man. I'm
Okay.
sure there might be a few better spots out there, but it's convenient. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to Cilantro. But yeah, if somebody was like, hey, man, I'm visiting San Diego, like, where should I go? I'm like, go check out Salud for some good tacos.
Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and let the people know. Hey,
Yeah,
if you come
yeah.
for him, come for him. He said it. Salud taco. Um, SD, LA, or SB.
Man, I'm gonna go with SD, man.
Okay.
I feel like
Home where the heart is.
100%, bro. I think since leaving SD and for college and then moving to LA after college, it made me appreciate San Diego more and more. And I think
Yeah,
the
for
older
sure.
I've gotten too, like the more prideful I've become and be like, I'm from San Diego. Like you're
Yeah.
going to know I'm from San Diego. And it's one of those things where I don't know, maybe if it just comes with age and getting older to where I can kind of do more or whatever it may be. But like San Diego has a lot to offer, man.
So
I
much,
think,
man.
if you just, go search for it or go find it, like San Diego has a lot to offer. And I think what I enjoy most about it is it has such variety in terms of
Yeah.
whatever kind of vibe you're looking for. It could be downtown, you can go to North Park, you can go to Barrio, you can go wherever, and you're going to be able to get what you're looking for or come across something you didn't even know existed. So San Diego for sure, like you're able to still get that city vibe without it being too city, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, San Diego.
Got you. Got you. I would also pick San Diego as well.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite shoe and favorite shoe you like to hoop in.
Oh my. Wow. Favorite shoe, man. I would say my favorite shoe. I might have tweeted about this the other day. I would say it has to be the metallic fives. Metallic
Mm,
fives. It's just
mm,
that colorway is so great.
crisp.
I love the 3M tongue. I think that black suede. I'm a sucker for suede, bro. So
Yeah.
if you have suede on it, like I'm already convinced. I gotta look at the rest of the shoe to see, like, okay, do I like this detail? But if it's suede, it's like that's a brownie point for sure.
Yeah.
So I would say metallic fives for sure.
Okay.
Favorite shoe to hoop in. Honestly, man, I'm not the biggest hooper as
Yeah.
far as like, I'm more of like a workout guy, like
Okay.
weights and stuff. But I mean, if I was to make that investment, even if I'm not speaking from like a comfort level, because I haven't had a pair, at least what I like to see on the court or what's my favorite signature shoe, I would say Kyrie's.
Yeah.
I like Kyrie's a lot. I think the
Mm-hmm.
evolution of 1 through 7, where he's at, like the design process is dope.
Yeah.
I think the different colorways, like I know you got a couple pairs, like the cereal collection, SpongeBob collection, like it's just dope.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
been
I really like the
incredible.
Kyries. I like the Kyries a lot.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you on the Kyries too. I love hooping in that shoe. I'm a sucker for SpongeBob too. So when he did the collab, it did it for me. I had to cop everything from that pack, man.
Yeah, sir. I don't blame you, man. That was a dope collab.
For real. Your musical starting five. Answer this however you want to answer it.
Musical starting five. All right, I put my boy J. Cole in there. That just takes me back to high school every time, and his work has been dope. Drake, I gotta put Drizzy in there. That dude is just, his run has been crazy, bro.
Exactly. It's LeBron like.
It really is.
Not missing. Just
not
missing.
at all. It's crazy. I'd also put, man, I'm trying to just think overall. I'm some of it is gonna be people having rotations, so I'm just gonna be in general. I would say 50 Cent. Bro, he played. I don't necessarily listen to him now, really, but just growing up and Get Rich or Die Trying and the Massacre album, like those
classics.
His influence,
classics,
crazy. So I would put 50 in there. As far as someone that I'm more so listening to now, I would say Larry June, who's an artist out of the Bay Area. I like Larry a lot. Yeah. So Larry June, man, that's my guy. And I'm trying to think, who else do I really like a lot? That fifth spot, man, who's gonna end it all for us? I am gonna go. Do I want to take another nostalgic route and like I did with 50? I think I probably will go. I want to say Lil Wayne, man. Just thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm more so just thinking about like coming up, growing up, just the Carter series, Dedication series. But if I didn't go Wayne, I would go K-Dot, because that dude is just
monster.
It's just his body of work, bro. It's just crazy. Even just looking back at Section 80 to what he has now, it's just like we waiting on you, K-Dot.
We are. We know. The world is waiting. We know. He gets tweeted at it every day. Probably people know. You're talking about somebody on their helmet.
If I had to do a 6-man, I'm taking another person from the TDE camp, and I'm gonna get Isaiah Rashad, man. So 100%.
Zay, my guy. Just if he dropped more music, man. But you talk about quality over quantity. That dude just don't miss.
Bro, he does not miss, bro. You no skips from start to finish. It's just it's gonna give you everything you're looking for. It's quality, perfect. Shout out to Zay.
Yes, sir. And that you kind of talked about it, but I was gonna end it on this. Just a couple artists in your Serato right now. Who you listening to? You brought up June.
Yeah.
Who are you listening to you right now?
Yeah, man. Who else have I been listening to lately? I've been on that June. I thought one of my boys, shout out my boy Jordan, he's always listening to just like older music and stuff. He's always playing like old, like NERD, Pharrell whenever I'm around him. So like I'll throw him some Pharrell or something like that.
Yeah.
That's always fun to tune into.
You hopping on the Blast bandwagon?
Yes, bro. Definitely Blast is that guy. Every time I hear Be Alone, like just the album in general, but that track, Be Alone, I'm like, bro, I gotta run it back.
Putting the sample in there, come on, you can't.
Bro, I'm a sucker for samples. Same way I am with Suede. Like you put a good sample,
Suede
bro.
and samples.
Yes.
Suede and samples, Blanco. That's
you got me 100%. Brent Fayez, that's another one. That's my favorite.
Yes, sir.
R&B guy right now. I know he just dropped those 3 tracks the other day. So
yeah, he did. Song with Tyler's crazy,
bro. Crazy, bro. So I would say, I'm usually in between that kind of vibe when it comes to like a R&B, hip hop. Recently, I was driving the other day and I put Sir in a rotation.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, like that Chasing Summers album is crazy. And then one last artist I'll mention that I ended up shout out to the streaming platforms for having like when you're listening to an album and it's like, other artists that are related.
Oh man,
like shout out to them for that.
Appreciate those algorithms.
Yeah, man. Because I ended up being reintroduced to that K Tronada album. I think it's called like 10% or I can't remember, but I ended up going back to that and I'm just like, bro, there's so much great music out here. So
exactly,
that's a little bit what I've been having in rotation, man.
Okay, well. Appreciate you, Sean, for letting us know what you're in your Serato and what you got your thoughts on the league and everything in that regard. Go ahead, plug plug a couple of things you got going on, man. The socials, all that stuff. Let the people know.
Yes. No, I appreciate it, man. So for everyone out there, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is _whoisblanco. It's all one word. Again, that's _whoisblanco. I also have the clothing brand, Sincere Motives. You can find us on Instagram, just at Sincere Motives, no faces, anything like that. I'm going to be having a release coming within these coming weeks for Black History Month. So excited for that. You can follow us on Twitter. It's just at Motive Sincere. So it's just the two words flip flop. But yeah, man, you know, that's pretty much everything going on. Definitely going to be getting back on the podcasting wave of things. I've been thinking about it, man. I'm like, we were talking about San Diego. I'm like, man, I might even try to make that move back home. You know, it's been a little while, man. So I might even try to do something like that. LA has been cool, but I'm like, hey, man, I kind of miss home a little bit. So might, you know, do that. But definitely reach out on the socials, follow up. I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you to you, bro. Like, this was fun. You know, I'm definitely excited to be able to run it back and just listen to it and watch it and share it. So, you know, for everybody out there, man, you know, I can definitely say, you know, this is a great podcast. And if you love hoops, you know, this is it right here. And just good content, man. My guy, he's going to get you right. So keep doing what you're doing, bro. You're doing great, man.
Hey, that's truly appreciated, man. Thank you again. We're going to do this again. Thank you for hopping on the pod, doing this with me. Also, he didn't say his Twitter. It's I think it's Blanco, baby.
Blanco, baby, yeah. And I think instead of an O on Blanco, it's 0, the number 0. So it's Blanco, baby. You can follow me on there. We talking hoops. We talking reckless.
Everything.
So.
Hey, great follow. My dude is hilarious. The timeline goes crazy. So make sure you hit him on Twitter as well. That's my dude, Sean White. Appreciate you guys again for listening. This was episode 45 of the Good Look Podcast. Your host, Leonard Pinckney, a.k.a. Agent P, a.k.a. L Pinckney, giving it to y'all one more time. Appreciate you guys for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, review, all that good stuff. And we're going to see you again next time.
Good look.